It's time for Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys.
Forgive us, Father, for we are about to sin and be very naughty boys.
Sidebar. What we need to reduce is the amount of people being burned by acid.
Is that still happening?
How many people are being burned by acid?
It's happening so much in India.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought you meant still in America.
Well, I mean, I don't doubt that it's happening here still. I mean,
Well, I just in what makes me feel so stupid is my fix for that is to try to come up with some sort of ampoule that people can wear around their neck, like a necklace, some would say, that would counteract the acid. And that seems so.
So what? Just
not good enough.
I mean, not a heavy base.
Just what?
Well, base is
Jasmine's convinced that something is living in our attic, and she's saying she can hear it again.
Throw acid at it.
Brandon, just tell her Mark moved in early. Brandon, just tell her I moved down there really early and didn't tell anyone.
Let her know it's just the mice that you feed your cock.
Wait a minute, is that why I've been hearing voices coming from the attic all the time, Mark? It's just you?
Yeah, that's why every time we record, there's a really bad echo in your room.
I fucking knew it.
No, but it is what you often hear crying coming from the attic.
But no, that's one of those terrible social issues that people come up with a fix for, like the most immediate thing they cover on the news. It's just like, oh, we'll just come up with something people can wear around their necks so when people throw acid in their face, they can counteract it and the burns won't be as bad. Like, why don't you just fix the major fucking problem, you asshole?
That's like some people creating two different creations. One was a coaster, and the other was nail polish that if you dip it in a drink, it'll change color if there's a roofie in it. And
like it's
like,
good. It's good.
Is.
There's a mild, like, not even deterrent. I feel like deterrent's the wrong word. It's just there's an extra level of security you need to have about yourself when you just leave the fucking house, which is not a concern that I have, but.
I've never once been concerned about my safety walking at night to go to my car, but...
Oh, God, it's fucking terrible.
Walking through bad parts of Chicago.
You don't even have to be walking through bad parts of town. It can just be perfectly fine, like, normal parts of town. But guess what? Shitty people still exist. Good or bad side of town, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, like, I came to a realization a little while ago. I was driving and there was a cop behind me. And as always, I got nervous. Whenever there's a cop driving behind me, no matter what I'm doing, I'm nervous. And then I started realizing, like, oh, I'm nervous that I'm going to get a ticket for something that I'm not even realizing I'm doing. Whereas a very large part of the population, especially the American population, is even more worried than I am that they're going to die. And
for something they, like... Oh man, I didn't realize I had a brake light out or something, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, bam!
I gotta tell you, man, I had a breakdown when I had that realization. I cried for like hours. It really fucked with me.
I think I'm sure I talked about this when Mark and I did our Black Lives Matter kind of release that we did back. What was it? Back in June or July?
God, it was like our fifth episode.
Yeah, it was our fifth episode, and we were getting like heavy shit. I was so mad about the whole thing that this was still where we were at, and I was just yelling into the mic, and then that episode got lost.
No.
So then we re-recorded it where I was a little bit more even-keeled, and I was able to have like a proper conversation without screaming from anger.
Quick to clarify, when Brandon says that it was lost, it was, in fact, Mark, don't you ever fucking release that audio. The last thing we need in this world is another angry white person yelling about how Black Lives Matter.
Okay, I figured Mark was responsible for losing that. All right, continue.
I mean, also at the same time, I mean, you know, what good does another white person yelling about things matter?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think it's the outrage that's, it's good that at least we have that. And I know that's such a sad, pathetic thing that, like, oh, hey, at least someone's angry about it. But I mean,
that
even a couple generations ago, that wouldn't have happened, you know. And
Sure, but now there's more and more people being.
Or at least it wasn't happening on the scale that it is now.
so
And
So
does that lead to change? Does that create something that's not?
I think it's you can't have the change until you have the outrage. Because if you're not outraged about it, why would you change it? You know, the outrage is great, but if it's got to be literal step one. It's the outrage, like just being outraged about it isn't like, oh, I'm doing my part. No, that's what should motivate you to do your part.
Yeah, guess what? Just because your outrage has subsided and you're not screaming about it doesn't mean the problem went away.
Right.
Exactly. And actually, that brings up something. Okay, so before I go into this point, one thing that really got me, you know that all of those pictures of MLK marching and protesting and everything, those were taken with color film.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've been released black and white because that makes it look like it was much longer ago. Like that girl.
Oh, you're talking about in like the sense of what textbooks do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That girl Ruby, who was like the first girl to go to an all white, the first African American girl to go to like an all white school.
Right.
She's 60 right now. That wasn't
Yeah.
that long.
Yeah, I think Truman called the national. Was it Truman? No, Truman dropped the atomic bomb. Who was in office at the time?
I'm trying to think. It was probably Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. But
And
so here's
we
the
have
other thing.
fucking color images of JFK getting his brains blown out.
There's colored images of Martin Luther King Jr. They're just not what you're shown. So
I'm just thinking about this, talking about, kind of like the perspective of things. So the first time I went to Memphis was because I wanted to go to Graceland. Which who doesn't know, that's where Elvis lived. That was his home.
Who doesn't know that?
Hey man, I'm just covering all my bases here.
Tell you what, the more and more we get Gen Z. Gen Z is the one after millennials, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I would not be surprised if the majority of Gen Z didn't know that,
I feel like I don't feel like that's accurate though, Jeff. I mean, people could have said that at any point.
Granted, I don't think a lot of millennials know that Graceland is where Elvis lived.
But you don't know that. You're just going off of your feeling. There's not an actual
I think.
Yeah.
No, Brandon, as a millennial, I didn't know Elvis was from Graceland until you told me when I was like 22. So.
Yeah, but that's what's great about our friendship. We both learned so much from one another. Sometimes I wish I could unlearn the things that I learned from you, but that's kind of the curse of this friendship.
There it is. That's what I was waiting for.
Just like Tag Team said, there it is.
But so anyways, I went to Memphis, and while I was there, I wanted to go. I was like, I just want to go. It was my first time ever going to Memphis, and I was, hit up Beale Street, went to Sun Records, and of course, the other big thing that happened was, I think it was a Hotel Lorraine, where MLK was assassinated at. That hotel is still there, but it's been converted into a museum. And I wanted to go, but it was closed the day that we went. And there was a guy standing out there with a sign. Essentially, I don't exactly remember what the sign was, but pretty much his whole thing was that the hotel and the museum was a whitewashing of what actually happened. And I never understood that, especially at that age. I think probably I was 13 at the time when I went, and I never understood. I'm like, well, this is where it happened, and this is a museum where it's supposed to be teaching you what happened. Like, I don't understand how, that's, whitewashing. Now, granted, I've never been to the museum. I don't know what is in there. But from what I have heard, like, it is a gross kind of like misappropriation of information, and you know, just kind of the whole way that they've done it wasn't like, has a lot of people in the community, like especially even like the historical community trying to kind of unwhitewash history and make things a little bit more accurate. Like, they're big proponents in getting that changed.
Well, I mean, even textbooks nowadays.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Just the Trail of Tears is being covered up. I mean, it's all this stuff. But
Yeah, what the fuck are they trying to call it call it now in textbooks?
I saw a textbook that said when the Pilgrims arrived, they didn't have. When the Pilgrims arrived, they needed places to stay. So the Indians moved off their land, moved out west so that the Pilgrims could have an area to live. And it's like, no, actually, the Trail of Tears was when we made them leave and murdered a bunch of them.
Well, Trail of Tears was much later with Andrew Jackson.
So Breonna Taylor died almost a year ago, right?
Yeah, we're coming up on
Right.
that.
Breonna Taylor was murdered just about almost a year ago now, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Louisville, right? There is a bill. Kentucky is trying to pass a bill. It advanced out of their Senate committee, and this bill would make it illegal to insult or taunt law enforcement officers to the point where it could provoke a violent response.
That's like the necklace that counteracts the effects of an acid. I feel like you're trying to deal with the issue of being burned with acid rather than why somebody would throw acid at you.
Right.
Also, that whole freedom of speech thing.
Sure.
But yeah, I was amazed. Almost a year after Breonna Taylor, and no one has been charged yet, or I'm sorry, no one has been convicted of anything yet. And that's what Kentucky's doing.
That sounds par for the course for Kentucky, though.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Okay.
That absolute
Goddamn
twat
fuckface.
waffle.
Oh.
I didn't know Death actually lived among us, but apparently he's in office.
Right. What an absolute just fucking piece of shit that guy is.
Hey guys, if you just can't get enough of Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys, you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SR Sleepy Boys. Or you can check out our YouTube channel, Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys. You can also find us on Spotify, Radio Public, Anchor, Breaker Radio, and coming soon, Apple Podcasts.